Colorado Republicans race to protect the people left vulnerable by the Trump administration's decision on DACA. We'll break down questionable claims being made on both sides of that debate. New details on the high school football coach who moved a player's car right before a drug search. Those scary hurricane forecast maps can cause us to overlook some really key information. Questions about the future of a futuristic building that's actually a half-century old. And an even older dress makes another appearance at school picture day. Next. President Trump is succeeding in uniting Colorado's Republicans and Democrats as never before as they rush to save the DACA program his administration dismantled today. Republican Senator Cory Gardner took a sizable step toward the Center on Immigration, announcing that he's going to join Democratic Senator Michael Bennet as a co-sponsor of the DREAM Act, which would give legal status to the so-called Dreamers who were brought to this country illegally as children.
We have an opportunity to come together as Republicans and Democrats to give young people the certainty they deserve and a legal path to stay in the only country they know.
And on the House side of the Capitol, Republican Congressman Mike Coffman of Aurora introduced his discharge petition today. It's rare for a member of the majority to use that procedure to get a vote on the floor against the wishes of party leadership. Coffman, like Gardner, was once a DACA opponent who is now fighting to preserve the program. We're highlighting the shifting stances of Senator Gardner and Congressman Coffman because they have been surprising in a sea of not necessarily new noise from those who support and oppose the program. Our Marshall Zellinger is here to take on some questionable claims we've heard from the left and right.
Kyle, that first claim came in the first 90 seconds of Attorney General Jeff Sessions announcing that DACA would end in 6 months, and it's that those in the country under DACA are making a living at the expense of American citizens.
It also denied jobs to hundreds of thousands of Americans by allowing those same illegal aliens to take those jobs.
It's inaccurate to think of the economy as being a zero-sum game where the more work that I have means the less work that you have.
University of Denver professor Cesar Garcia Hernandez appears to back up two recent studies that show immigrants have not had a negative impact on Americans finding jobs. A study by the National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine found that new immigrants may take jobs from previous immigrants and that American teenagers may have fewer hours of work but not fewer jobs. Another study done a couple of years ago looking at census data determined citizens with no high school diplomas compete for different jobs than immigrants with no high school diplomas. Another issue is what happens in 6 months if DACA ends and Congress doesn't act. Does that mean ICE, which already has issues with detainees, will go after 800,000 immigrants who were brought here as children and send them back to the country they were born?
I don't think that there is a realistic fear that ICE is just going to take that database of 800,000 individuals who have received DACA and plug and play it into an enforcement database.
So we now have some stats that we've been working through. $1.6 billion in state and federal taxes are accounted for from these 800,000. So if you want to look at the economy aspect, forget the job side,
sure, that
could go away. So, you know, we have what Bennett has done, what Coffman has done. It's amazing how Colorado tends to be the center of everything that it comes to, you know, whatever story's out there, it always focuses on Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll see if Colorado is at the center of some kind of a solution here. Marshall, thank you. A final thought on that exactly. So we're about to find out whether Republicans really do want to save DACA, or whether they're just making political posturing at this point. And we're going to find out whether Democrats are more interested in the solution that they say that they seek, or more interested in blaming Republicans for coming on board late. So we'll keep watching. We're hearing more today about that whole business at Highlands Ranch High School, where a football coach moved a player's car off campus right before a drug search. We were curious why law enforcement didn't search the car when they found it off campus at the coach's house, and a drug dog detected an odor. I mean, clearly they were suspicious, but there was something in the law or what was going on that stopped them. The whole thing obviously smells funny. Football coach Mark Robinson resigned shortly after. He told deputies that day that he was just getting gas for his student's car, but didn't come back to campus with it. The student, now get this, told deputies that he left the car at home but could not remember where he lived. All that, plus the drug dog's behavior, was still not enough for deputies to search the vehicle.
Just the fact that he moved a car does not make it a crime. So if he just moved the car for a reason that was totally legit, it's not a crime.
Deputies didn't pursue a search warrant also because they were able to confirm that Coach Robinson's claim about taking a kid's car off campus for gas had been true at least once in the past. The Pearl Street Mall in Boulder looks like a refugee camp these days, and our Eddie Randall explored why.
Obviously, you know, even here now, we understand about the process of displacement with what's going on with Hurricane Harvey.
Recent disasters have given people a glimpse of what it's like to be without a home, but it's something millions deal with daily.
There are 65 million people globally right now who are either refugees or have been displaced from their home.
For the next 5 days, people can experience what refugees experience when fleeing a country.
Heard of South Sudan, yeah?
As they move through, they see the day-to-day issues people deal with, like what to take with them on their extended journey.
Each of you have 30 seconds to select 5 objects that you think might be useful on your journey and your migration route.
Most people would bring cell phones, both to communicate with family and help them navigate to another location. But those devices can also be used against them.
Human traffickers who then may use that same cell phone to contact family members after they abduct individuals and use that as a means to try to gain a ransom fee from those individuals.
Forced from home shows the low water and food sources these people are forced to deal with.
So that's the amount, that's the minimum standard for one day for one person. And that includes drinking, washing, cleaning.
You also see the medical supplies these doctors use to treat diseases that can be fatal.
Cholera.
It's not an exhibit that makes you laugh or leave smiling, but it does give you insight.
Hopefully we're going to kind of develop a little more thorough understanding of what forces people out and what their status kind of might mean for their chances of survival as they go along.
For Next, I'm Eddie Randall.
That exhibit is up 9 to 5 through Sunday. Organizers say that education, not fundraising, is their main goal, so any donation is optional. Joanne from Englewood has our next question. Her water, it stinks. Joanne writes, we're told it's safe, but the smell is getting worse. It's nauseating. When you take a shower, you come out feeling dirtier than you went in. Maybe we can get some results if we have the news media check into this. Joanne, the city of Englewood insists that the water is safe, but admits that it is not aesthetically pleasing. Though aesthetics really refer to more to appearance, so Englewood probably should say that it's not olfactorily satisfactory. The city says that the South Platte River is especially warm. There's more algae this year. The city's treatment plant's been trying some different ways to filter it, but anyone with a nose knows how that's going. Will our attention to the issue help find a fix any faster? Can't promise anything, Joanne. Smell your water in a week and call us. The hurricane infographics that are helping Americans understand Irma's path toward Florida and allowed us to track Harvey up into Texas, those graphics are widely distributed and they're widely misunderstood. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen explains what people often miss.
Now, we've all seen this right here. It's the official forecast graphic from the National Hurricane Center. Great information on here, but it's easy to make some mistakes if you're not careful. You got to try not to focus too much on these little dots and these times right here, and it could also be a mistake to focus on this, the wind speeds.
The wind speed and the category level of the storm does not tell the whole story of the forecast. Any hurricane with sustained winds stronger than 110 miles per hour is officially considered a major hurricane. That is because of their potential for significant damage and loss of life. If a hurricane drops from a Category 5 to a Category 4 or even a 3, it is still a major hurricane. Also, try not to focus on these little dots and times. The timing on here is just for the eye. The actual impact of the storm will occur before that time. For instance, this places the eye of the hurricane over the British Virgin Islands at 2 p.m. Wednesday. But the storm bands and the storm surge could start 5 to 10 hours before that time, depending on the size of the storm. This graphic does not show the size of the hurricane. The impacts of the hurricane can also occur outside this cone. This dot right here is the forecast from the Hurricane Center. The M stands for major. The white cone around the forecast track reflects the margin of error. Over the last 5 years, the eye of the storm has stayed inside that forecast cone 67% of the time. I'm meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for Next.
The margin of error is just like a poll. You got to know how to read it. And the science of forecasting hurricanes as they form is undeniably improving with time. National Hurricane Center says its margin of error on a 3-day forecast has gone from 300 miles wide in 1990 to 107 miles today. We recommend that you follow a hurricane hunter right in our own backyard. Give CSU's Philip Klotzbach a follow on Twitter. He's a meteorologist at Colorado State who specializes in Atlantic Basin seasonal hurricane forecasts. And his timeline right now is a tweet storm of interesting facts and stats about Irma, Harvey, and other tropical storms. Like the fact that Irma has now generated more accumulated cyclone energy than the first 8 Atlantic named storms of the year combined. His Twitter handle is @Phil Klotzbach. If you missed the spelling on that last name, fear not. We'll throw a link up for you on the next Facebook page. The effort to preserve a unique building that looks like a spaceship. I thought I knew which one, and I guessed wrong. Next. The most Colorado thing we saw today, best appreciated from the air. It's a corner of Colorado where they are growing CSU fans and growing plenty of other things as well. The work that went into this custom field maze in Yuma is just wild. So the family that owns this property had the idea to do this a year ago, but first they had to go to a design company to get a mock-up. Then they send it to an agronomist, also a CSU alumni, who put the design into a format that the tractor's computer could understand. So this is not mowed into a field that has grown. This was planted that way. That's pretty cool. This is the Weathers Family Farms in Yuma. All right, Buffs fans, if you got a Ralphie maze out there for us, get going. Hit us up with the hashtag HeyNext.
First, I love that it's called the Weathers Farm. And second, tonight is the full corn moon or harvest moon. How about that? You might be able to see it. The smoke and haze, not nearly as nasty today. And we told you there's going to be a big drop in temperature. 60s for most of the day. We just popped up to 71, but we're 25 degrees cooler than this time yesterday. Not a lot to show you on the radar. So let's talk Irma, an extremely dangerous Category 5 hurricane taking aim at the lower 48 Friday night into Saturday. Right now, the southern tip of Florida in that cone where we could definitely see some major damage and flooding. Around here, high and dry as high pressure keeps storm track to the north of us, allowing in just a little bit of that smoke and haze as we move over the next 24 to 36 hours. A dry day tomorrow, more sunshine, not a lot of wind to mix out the particulates, so air quality may still be an issue for us. We'll be talking about that again tomorrow. Tonight, we have that big, beautiful full moon as skies clear and kind of a cool overnight low in the 40s. Haven't seen that in a while. And a high of 80 degrees. Tomorrow we'll get closer to 90 for the rest of the week. Only isolated storms Friday, Saturday, and then for Monday, the Broncos home opener. And just a great shot. Great time of year to get out. Enjoy the beautiful Colorado high country.
Kathy, thanks. All right, let's play What Do You Say? This time we head southwest of Denver to a county that starts with a C. Home to Buena Vista, Salida, Mount Princeton, Hot Springs. Few of you emailed to ask about the proper pronunciation. So we called up the sheriff and asked, what do you say?
Well, our county is pronounced Chaffee County, not Chaffee. Now, there's a lot of people that come to the county that new people to the county, they pronounce it Chaffee. However, I have checked with several different people in town because I don't want to be wrong, although I grew up here. It is pronounced Chaffee County.
I like the sheriff's attitude. Don't want to be wrong even if you grow up there. So there you go, Chaffee County, named after one of Colorado's first U.S. senators, Jerome Chaffee. All right, can you stump us with a pronunciation that's eluded you or maybe somebody that you know? Win a bet right here on the air. Send us in search of an uncommon place name in Colorado. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. A family heirloom is brought out and handed over to another child, and preserving a very old spaceship. Next. All right, so you know that bank building in Englewood that's shaped like a UFO? Do you think that when that was built 50 years ago that everybody driving by just figured that everything in the future was going to look like that? I mean, half century later, still, It's the only spaceship-looking bank in town, as people in Englewood now look to preserve that futuristic-looking piece of the past.
So when you get within a block of this building, all of a sudden you see this huge ovoid form. It startles you. You can't help but wonder what this building is and who designed it and who built it here.
He is Charles Deaton, one of the most discussed American architects. Welcome, Mr. Deaton.
Good morning. How are you?
Good to have you here.
And it was actually designed originally as a sculpture by the architect Charles Deaton, and was then basically enlarged and detailed to form a full-size building. I think that anyone walking into this building, you could almost say that it had just been designed yesterday. It's just as modern and futuristic today as it was when it first appeared in 1967.
In fact, the idea of producing a building as a work of art necessitates starting with a work of art.
And you see that as you come down South Broadway. It literally looks like a sculpture standing on the corner. It's a radical building, it's a different building, it stands out. Some people respond positively to that, some people respond negatively to that. And some people don't understand it, some people are confounded by it, but no matter how you respond to it, it engages you. It makes you think about architecture. And I think that's one of its great attributes, is that it engages people in a way that few other buildings do.
That came to us through the lens of photojournalist Corky Scholl. The architect who created the bank building also designed the famous Sleeper House on I-70 west of Denver, internationally known piece of architecture. That is a lot tougher to walk into than the bank, where you are welcome at an open house on Thursday from 10 to 4. Another school year means the return of the special dress for the Hurt family in Durango. Carolyn Hurt started kindergarten last week at the Juniper School. She was the 18th girl in her family to wear the very same dress handmade in 1950 by Carolyn's great-great-grandmother. Carolyn's sister, Allie, wore the dress last fall. Jenny, Carolyn and Allie's mom, wore the dress in 1981. And a quick turnaround because they had to ship it over the weekend out to Oregon so that Allie and Carolyn's cousin, Sylvie, could wear it today on her very first day of kindergarten. It is a sign that even Denver's red-hot real estate market sometimes gets a bit ahead of itself. Next. It is a sign spotted on Logan Street in Denver this morning. A sign that somebody has been feeling around for the proper value of a rental unit. 2 bedrooms plus a loft. The former rent of $2,100 is still visible. Then somebody wrote $2,500, and guessing renters saw right through that. So they said, you know what, hey, let's split the difference. Let's say $2,300. What do you say? How about a sticker, people? Come on, folks. It isn't difficult. If you see a sign that makes you shake your head, email it to next@9news.com or use the hashtag #HeyNext. Feedback tonight from Ashley Bond, who writes, can't get enough of this new evil news hashtag. Kyle, can this be an official thing? We don't decide what's official around here, Ashley. You do. So if you want to replace #HeyNext with hashtag evil news, so be it, it's your business. And Kim writes in, said she loved the olfactory satisfactory comment tonight. She said, made my less than satisfactory day a little more satisfying. That is our goal every single day, Kim. We'll see you next time.